It's been a while since I covered a one-shot manga that really has piqued my interest. The last time I covered a one-shot manga was the one in which a guy had a very twisted yandere girlfriend. However, this one-shot manga is completely different from that one because this one's actually heartbreaking, and despite it only having 57 pages in total, it was able to create a story that was not only memorable, but once you reread this one shot several times, it actually does have an important message, but this message can also be implied in your life as well. And I think that's something that is worth noting once you actually see what this manga is all about. Now, of course, major warning, because I am going to talk about things that happen in this manga that is spoilers, so you have been warned. And now that that's out of the way, let's just begin with this one shot. So the name of this one shot manga is simply called Live, and you'll soon know why this series is called like this because it's actually very important. We start the story by realizing very quickly that this all takes place during a zombie apocalypse, and it seems that at this point there is very little human beings left because, well, the rest of the human population has basically turned into zombies, showing us very quickly just how far society has fallen because of this zombie apocalypse. We are introduced to our main character, who we will later find out his name is Aoki, who seems to have gotten used to the zombie apocalypse but states very clearly that it's been a while since he has interacted with another human being. But of course, he realized that he has to keep going and just try to survive this whole zombie apocalypse. He finds shelter and he decides to lay low for the rest of the day. However, as soon as he wakes up, he notices that he is not alone, that there is somebody else that's next to him. But once he opens his eyes more clearly, he notices that it's actually a zombie. He tries to get his weapon in order to defend himself, but then he stops as this zombie is actually able to talk, and it actually says his name. Not only is he shocked about the fact that a zombie is talking to him, but it's also shocking that this zombie girl knows who he is, despite literally just meeting for the very first time. But despite all this shocking information, he snaps out of it as he still thinks that he should be ready just in case anything were to happen and this zombie attacks him. However, he soon realizes that this zombie girl has no intentions on harming him, and it seems that she really is just somebody that is doing her own thing. But one thing that he does notice is that this zombie girl has the same uniform from the school that he used to go. But despite trying to get information out of her, the only thing that this zombie girl says to him is Aoki. He does get annoyed and he actually does threaten to harm her, but she has no reaction to this threat, and at that point he just simply gives up and leaves the place that he was hiding to go to a different location. He is still confused by the whole ordeal, but then he becomes even more surprised when the zombie girl is following him, showing no intentions of being left behind. He does try to get away from her, but it's no use. It seems that no matter where he goes, she is right behind him, but due to him being so focused on the zombie girl, he doesn't realize that he's actually running into a group of zombies, and once these group of zombies see him, of course, the situation gets so much worse. And even though he does try to outrun these zombies, he doesn't pay attention to what he is stepping on and he actually falls down. Now, thankfully, he's able to break his fall through some stuff that was on the ground, but of course, this doesn't stop the zombies from chasing him. And just as it seems that all hope is lost and he thinks that this is the end for him, he is surprised to see that the zombie girl is defending him, and she actually runs towards the zombie group and starts to attack them one by one. He is of course shocked that a zombie is killing her own kind. After the threat has been neutralized, both of them are together once again, and this is where he decides to go back to the school that they both used to go to see if this zombie girl can remember anything that happened before the zombie apocalypse and to get to know her even more better. And in the next couple of pages, we see their journey of going to the school, and there's a lot of very funny and very wholesome moments between them, showing us that despite him being a human and despite her being half zombie and half human technically, they are still able to bond together. They are still able to have a great time together despite the circumstances that they are at. It was during their journey that they actually end up in a farm, and at first it seems that the farm is completely empty and it seems that it has been completely abandoned. However, once they enter the inside, he notices very quickly that there's actually somebody sitting in a chair, but they don't seem to be alive anymore. But when they get closer to this person, they notice a letter, and it seems that this person realized that by the time someone read this, he is no longer alive. However, he is very grateful to this person named Haru-chan, and in the letter they state that they are very thankful for Haru and for all the happy memories that they created that ended up making their lives very happy and one with no regrets. After reading the letter, Aoki will end up staying for a little longer and actually makes a grave for this person, even though he has no idea who this person is and they never met or has any relationship with them. He feels that it's necessary for them to be laid to rest, and for a moment Zombie Girl is able to see a side of him that he never really showed throughout their entire journey, in which he states that if he were to become a zombie or if his life is about to end, then he hopes that someone is able to give him a funeral just like the one he did to this person. But realizing how heavy the subject has gone, he quickly goes back to his normal self, apologizes to Zombie Girl for saying something so out of character. After they leave their farm, they once again head out to their journey of going back to the school that they both used to go. And of course, during this time period, we get a lot of great moments with them. And at one moment, when both him and Zombie Girl are fishing, Zombie Girl ends up actually falling towards the water. This will lead to Aoki trying to rescue her, despite her clearly being a zombie, and even though this didn't really affect her, that couldn't be said for her clothes because unfortunately her school uniform has gotten wet because of the water. Aoki decides to give her some of his clothes in order for her clothes to dry up, but soon realizes that his clothes are way too big for her. But despite that, he's still able to see the cute side of her, even though he doesn't outright say it out loud, he says it on his head, and he becomes more flustered once this zombie girl starts to get more closer to him. Of course, this will end up in him trying to distance himself from her, and as the night continues, he decides to check on her clothes to see if they have gotten dry. But when he checks out the uniform, he notices that there's actually a letter in the skirt, and he hopes that there's something in this letter that can reveal more information about this zombie girl. Unfortunately, the letter, due to how wet it is, the words in the letter have become blurry and it's very hard to read what is said in that letter. But he notices based on the envelope that this was actually a love letter. He is confused as to why she has this and starts to wonder that because of her saying his name constantly, could this letter have been for him? Of course, he can't outright say 100% in confidence that this is what exactly is going on, but as he's thinking this, he also wonders, had everything been the same and if the world was still normal, could him and this girl have been friends during their school time? And is also thinking that due to her being half zombie and half human, is there a way to actually change her back to being a human being? And he hopes that maybe in the near future he's able to encounter doctors that may find a cure to cure the zombies, and hopefully this will lead to the zombie apocalypse being completely over. During the next few pages, we see that time has progressed because it's already winter and snow is falling down the sky. And even though he is freezing because of this snow, he is still keeping an eye on Zombie Girl because due to her being a zombie, the snow is affecting how she is moving, and she clearly is having a hard time moving on her own. And so he decides to start carrying her and reveals during this whole situation that he doesn't want to lose her. He's already found somebody that he wants to be with and is going to protect her no matter what he has to do or what dangers he may face. He is going to protect her from anything. Once the snow has settled down and it seems that it has gotten more warmer, Aoki tells the zombie girl that he's thought about it for a really long time and that he thinks that he should give her a name because all this time he hasn't really known what to call her or what he should be calling her, so he decides to name her Liv. And the reason why he names her Liv is because he wants her to live for a really long time, and asks her what does she think of that name with a smile on his face. At that moment, the zombie girl is able to find a few memories that she has now remembered, and remembers that Aoki used to be her senpai. And just when it seems that she's about to say something, tragedy strikes as Liv is shot in the head by somebody. This of course shocks Aoki, but it's also shocking to hear that in Liv's final words, she says, "I love you," as she's falling down and has sadly passed away. Aoki turns around to see the person who shot her, and this person believes that he did him a huge favor because for him it seemed that the zombie was about to attack him. But in these moments, Aoki is really mad, and he is so mad that he actually pulls the shirt of this individual, and at one moment he actually wants to kill this person. Of course, this person is completely confused as to why Aoki is so mad at him, but it seems that something must have hit his head as he falls to the ground. And it seems that in the background there seems to be people confused as to why Aoki suddenly attacked them, and they believe that he has gone insane. Now that Aoki has come back to his senses, he is distraught seeing Liv in the ground completely motionless. And once after this entire tragic situation has ended, Aoki puts Liv to rest and makes a grave for her. And even though he states after this that he was able to reach his initial goal, this being a survivor base, he ultimately ended up leaving very quickly because he wanted to reach the school, the location that him and Liv were planning on going together. And during these final pages, we see a flashback of things that were happening before the zombie apocalypse, in which it confirms that Aoki and Liv were indeed going to the same school, but it also reveals that when Liv was a human, she actually had intentions of confessing to Aoki how she truly felt about him, and she actually wrote the love letter. And yes, this confirms that the love letter that he found was indeed for him. And in these moments, we see how Liv's friend is excited for her because she hopes that Liv is able to confess her true feelings to him and to do her best. And at first she seems very hesitant, but she decides to get the courage and confidence to go to Aoki. But just as it seemed that she was confident enough to go and confess her feelings, there is a scream in the background of someone asking for help, and when she turns around, she notices that a zombie is eating a human. And of course, this indicates that that was the beginning of the zombie apocalypse. And that is how this one shot ends, and unfortunately it's not a happy ending. What really makes this all the more tragic is the fact that Liv never got to express how she truly felt towards Aoki, and Aoki had no idea that the girl that he was always walking around, the zombie girl that he had no information on, was somebody that had a lot of feelings for him before disaster struck. And that's something that is very tragic to see, how two people weren't able to be together because of the zombie apocalypse. Not only that, but even though she kept saying his name constantly, she had no recollection as to who he was or why she was saying his name. But just as it seems that she's starting to remember, and she starts to remember who Aoki is and who this person means to her, her life was taken just like that. And of course, the other people had no idea that she was a good zombie or a zombie that didn't hurt other people. That's just simply how the zombie apocalypse works, where people freak out whenever they see a zombie. But I think the overall message in this entire manga was just simply to always enjoy every minute of your life and do things that you want to do and have no regrets with it, because if you don't accomplish all your goals or all the dreams you want to do, then it might be too late, as everyone only has one life. So I think it's better off that you fulfill everything you want to do in order to not only create memories but also not have any regrets whatsoever, because life is too unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow, so it's better off to enjoy the present. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm going to end today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.